I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Route of egress. In the event of an emergency, all people may exit right or left from this room and proceed to an exit door. All doors will open from the inside. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Haledon Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published in the North Jersey Herald News, the board's official newspaper, on January 14th, 2022. Notices of this meeting indicating date, time, and place were posted publicly on the door of the main entrance of the school and filed with the clerk in the municipality of Haledon. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Here.
Mrs. Issa?
Here.
Mr. Martinez? Mr. Moxell?
Here.
Mr. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Zinn? Mrs. Antonovic?
Here.
And Mr. Guzman.
Here. So Walker, are we going to table the strategic plan?
Yeah, I'll talk about it real quick about why, if I could.
Okay.
So I was gonna present the strategic plan, the revisions that we talked about at the last meeting. But for two reasons that I think are both very good reasons, I want to wait till a reorg meeting. The first reason is because about at 9:30 this morning, I got an email from the Essex County education specialist, because Passaic County currently does not have an educational specialist, so we're kind of borrowing the Essex County one. And the data that he finally was able to get to us, that's why it was a little slow, is data that pertains to metrics as to how much the assessment scores that we got, how each of our subgroups is doing versus its peers in similar school systems, and also how much progress we've made from our test 2 years ago to our test, last year to our most recent test. So I want to have more time than just a couple hours to extrapolate that data, because I want to put that into metrics that we could use as both our threshold and our objective, as Mr. Abbasi had mentioned last meeting. And the second reason I think it's important that we hold off on this is because at the next meeting, we're going to swear in Mr. Mike Coletta, a new board member. And these are goals that we've worked on for a while. And these are the 5-year goals that are going to be the focal point of everything that we do. They're all very reasonable goals, and they're goals that we're going to look to attain. So I want to make sure we have the whole board be able to vote on that and give their input towards the final copy of that. So I think it's just the right move to get everybody a chance to vote on that. So we're just going to hold up till next board meeting for that.
Very good, Mr. Walker. Okay, moving on to correspondence. Do we have a motion to accept correspondence? So move. Second. Moved by Mr. Moxell, seconded by Mrs. Lantanovic. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Mr. Moxell?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mrs. Antonovic?
Yes.
And Mr. Guzman.
Yes. We have a motion to approve prior minutes. So move. Second. And roll call.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Mr. Moxell?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Antonovic?
Yes.
And Mr. Guzman.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to hear citizens on agenda items only?
So move. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Mr. Moxell?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Zinn? Mrs. Antonovic?
Yes.
And Mr. Guzman.
Yes. At this time, the floor is open to any citizen who wishes to address the Board of Education on any items listed on the agenda only. Seeing none, do we have a motion to close?
So move.
Second. And roll call, please.
Mr. Abasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Zissa,
Yes.
Mr. Matzo,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mrs. Antonovic,
Yes.
and Mr. Boussault.
My vote is yes. Okay. Moving on to committee reports. I will start by saying that tonight will be my last meeting presiding as school board president. It's definitely been an honor and a privilege. I made this decision with my family back in July after a health scare, as you all are aware about. At the time, I discussed it with our chief school administrator, Mr. Chris Waka, our board vice president, Mrs. Lisa Oiza. They were completely understanding. I wanted to finish my term, which I did. And like I said before, tonight will be my last meeting. I'll be officially passing the torch at our reorg on January 4th, 2023. And I want to make it clear that I'm not going anywhere. I will still be here as an active board member. It's been a great, phenomenal 4 years. I want to thank the backbone of our school district, our chief school administrator, Mr. Chris Waka, and his cabinet, our school administration, including our school business administrator, Ms. Lamika Augustine, and her predecessor, Mr. John Serapiglia. Of course, the Health and Education Association for their cooperation. I definitely have the utmost respect for our phenomenal teachers. Thank you. Our technology and secretarial, nursing and custodial teams. I salute you all, especially during the public health crisis. You all stepped up as well. Thank you so much. Can't thank you enough. I want to thank our mayor, Dominic Stampone, council president, Munir Almeida, and the entire Helden Municipal Council. My chief of police, Angelo Danielle, our Helden business administrator, Mr. Alan Susan, and the Helden Board of Health for their tremendous cooperation as well. We've done a lot the last 4 years. That couldn't have been done with our significant increase in state aid. With that being said, I want to acknowledge our 35th legislative district delegation and State Senator Nellie Poe, Assemblywoman Shavonda Sumter, and Assemblyman Benji Wimberly for fighting for us for the full funding of our public schools. I have to give a shout out to my former vice president, Ms. Angeles Diaz, and our current vice president, Mrs. Lisa, for honorably and gracefully serving as board vice presidents. Thank you so much for always being right by my side. To all my fellow board members, past and present, I thank you all. We've done so much, like I said, the last 4 years. It's been such an honor and a privilege to serve as board president. For those 4 years, we delivered a 0% increase of the tax levy. We tirelessly advocated for state funding. We created the chief school administrator position, saving $60,000 a year for our district. We renewed our shared services agreement with Manchester Regional High School, which we love our partnership. I see my fellow board president from Manchester, Mr. Valdo Panzera, is locked in. Thank you so much. And with our partnership between us and Manchester, we have several shared services, which I have to thank Mrs. Ellen Fisher and Mr. Jeff Fisher, who played a strong role and were critical in us entering shared services with Manchester. And we want to continue that legacy, and we have, especially as it pertains to our business administrator. And we hired a new business administrator, which is a Helden resident, and has been doing a great job for us, Mrs. Lamika Augustine. Last 4 years, we've also passed all our mandated state audits. We've remodeled our Helden Public School Library and Media Center. We've updated 3 science labs. We installed a new HVAC system in our gymnasium, which also serves as the place where we assemble for graduation and things of that nature. We convened an exploratory committee for an all-inclusive playground, and I'm glad that that's going to be part of our strategic plan moving forward. Also, to expand our school, we're finally addressing the overcrowding instead of kicking the can down the road. So we're going to definitely be doing that, and we're also doing that at no cost to the taxpayers. Okay, that's coming out of our federal funds and our capital reserves. We refurbished the Helden Public School Garden, which was formerly named the Fisher Garden. We acquired new desks for every classroom. So many great things here. Our 101 Chromebook initiative, which was started before the pandemic. It was easy for this school district to transition to remote learning because of that 101 initiative that was started before the pandemic. So when the pandemic struck, we had a Chromebook here for each student from 3rd grade to 8th grade. Am I right? Am I right or wrong, Mr. Walker?
Very, very, very close to that.
And so we only had to procure Chromebooks for the grades below 3rd. So that made things a lot easier for us. We also assigned a Chromebook to each teacher as well and installed a smart board in each classroom. We partnered with the Borough of Haledon and hired for the first time ever an active duty full-time police officer here to serve as a school resource officer. We updated our security cameras both indoors and outdoors. We approved a new security guard vendor. We established a great rapport between the Haledon Police Department and our students and staff. We updated our emergency operations plan. We partnered with the Borough of Haledon to help make Lee Avenue a one-way for a safer drop-off and pickup and a smoother drop-off and pickup for our school community. We also partnered with the Borough of Haledon to have a bona fide law enforcement officer at Lee Avenue and Henry Street every single morning. We brought back the TGIF night to connect our teachers, our police, our students, so they can have some positive experiences every Friday. We maintained Haledon Public School entirely staffed despite the challenges of a teacher shortage crisis throughout the state. And again, I cannot thank the Haledon Education Association for their full cooperation. We approved a teacher recruiting specialist stipend position. We offer free summer school to all Haledon Public School students. We instituted a free academic tutored extended day program to all Haledon Public School students. We hired a social emotional counselor. We hired a math coach. We hired a literacy coach. We funded and approved a maker night that allows our students to spend time at school with their parents solving academic puzzles. We continued our partnership with William Patterson University for professor in residence programs and professional development training for our Haledon Public School staff. The pandemic was very hard, but we got through it together. During the COVID-19 public health emergency, Haledon Public School offered the most in-person learning days and in-person learning hours in Passaic County. We staffed additional custodians to help support the extra duties required due to COVID-19. Again, because of our Chromebook one-to-one per student initiative, we successfully transitioned into online learning. We offer COVID-19 testing for our staff members free of charge once per week. And we partnered with the borough to allow our health nurse to also serve as the borough's health official. We implemented the Certified Angels After School program, which offers dance, photography, and arts to our children for the first time ever in the history of Haledon. We offer free breakfast and free lunch to our students. We also started offering halal and kosher foods to our students upon request. And some days, up to 150 students select the halal option. Information is now sent home to parents in English, Spanish, and Arabic. Approximately 40% of our new hires in the last 4 years were minority candidates, which is well ahead of the statewide average of 16%. We initiated the Corrado La Rosa Memorial Wall dedication in honor of our late Director of Physical Plant Operations. The Haledon Public School has collaborated with the Borough of Haledon for holiday parade floats and holiday student nights, which our children love. We had the 2nd grade student who sadly passed away, Caleb, his community walk in his honor, and the playground bench dedication in his honor as well. And we have increased recreation usage of Haledon Public School when needed. Parents can now receive text messages alerts and email alerts. The Haledon Public School Facebook page, that growth within that page continues to trend upward at an accelerated pace. Our board policies were all translated to Spanish on the school website. We added a Google translation tool on the school website that helps parents translate any part of our site to their preferred language. All Heldon Board of Education meetings have been available to the public via Zoom since we have returned to in-person meetings. Video copies of all Board of Ed meetings are available for public view on our YouTube channel and on our school website as well. And in keeping our commitment to transparency, morning announcements that we provide to the student body are available to the parents via YouTube as well. We maintain our robust solar panel system. We're a Safe Routes to Schools award winner. We're also a Sustainable New Jersey award winner as well. We approved the purchase of a new Wildcat mascot costume that the students love. It's simple things like that. All Board of Education members have received their full training sessions within the appropriate timelines. Most recently, I want to congratulate our Vice President, Mrs. Lisa Iza, who accomplished certified board member status by the New Jersey School Board Association. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We amicably reached a contractual agreement with the Heldon Education Association, and I know we have another contract negotiation coming up, which I hope we wrap up pretty quick. In an effort to bridge the gap between the parents and our school district, we created a community engagement committee. The goal was to also ensure proper oversight of beneficial extracurricular activities offerings, which is vital for a child's social, emotional, and academic success. Again, it's been an absolute privilege to serve as board president the last 4 years and work shoulder to shoulder with such a phenomenal team. I look forward to continuing my service on the Heldon Board of Education and collaborating with Mayor-elect Michael Johnson and the rest of the Heldon governing body and all of our partners in education, including Manchester Regional High School. With so many highly qualified board members, rest assured that the Heldon Public School District remains in good hands for the foreseeable future. I want to congratulate Mike Coletta on his victory, and we look forward to seeing him come on board come January on our reorg. May everyone have a safe, educational, and prosperous 2023. And go Wildcats. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to our Chief School Administrator, Mr. Chris Walker.
Oh, thank you, George, Board President, Captain Guzman. So George is easily one of the most important and influential people in my life. And I know that in town, you're easily one of the most important and influential people in the borough of Heldon. You're special, and people rely on you and they look up to you. And you know, I'm going off script here a little bit, but like I hear that list, and as a board president, you had your hand in all those accomplishments. You know, it's and some of them, you know, absolutely could not have happened without you. And those accomplishments you listed, our kids benefit from that, our parents benefit from that, and the reputation of the township benefits from it. And I'm just really proud for you. So you know, I want to start by thanking you for your service as the board president these past 4 years. I do want to say that obviously all of those accomplishments that you've had as your tenure are highly impressive, and it's remarkably impressive. Being a board president is more than just being a board member, right? You're the only person that can legally speak for the board, right? And I think you did a remarkable job keeping a really good cohesion and attitude between the board and the administration and the teachers and the parents and the students. Like, we were all on the same page, and you had a tremendous to do with that. But it's even harder to do that during COVID, right? Because everyone had their own view of what should be done in COVID, and there's no way everyone was going to really come to the same page on that. But I thought this board did a remarkable job, you know, during COVID, and then Wade Corrado's untimely passing during COVID. You know, you stepped up again, and it just really just so prideful to have worked with you. You've been someone that I admire, that the town admires, and your leaderships in all aspects of your township has been needed and valued. The school was in a strong position before you became board president, But undoubtedly, we're in a much, much stronger position after you've served as both a board member and now as a board president. I could go on and on about all the great programs that you've mentioned and advocated for. But if we did that, it'd be a long board meeting, right? And this is what I talk about when people ask me about George, or what it's like to work with George, or what do I know about George, because everyone knows George in Passaic County, that's for sure. What I tell them is that George is the very best example of what a public servant is. That's who George is. George is only happy when he's serving people and he's useful and he's helpful. I have a feeling that George doesn't relax very well. Like he has to be someone that's making things better, and it's rarely for himself. It's for his kids or his community or his the employees that he works with at the police force. But like it's so basic and simple. But you are the prime example of every ideal of public service. I'm still very grateful that you're going to remain as part of this board, because this board needs you and this town needs you. And when we needed you the most, you always shined, at your brightest, and you made things better for, most importantly, the kids, but for every other member of our school community. So once again, Board President Guzman, I know it's not goodbye, but I want to thank you for the exemplary level of leadership that you've given this board and this district and this town. And I'm going to ask Board Vice President Lisa Liza to present you with the certificate that you've got. If you want to come up, take a picture, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to do it.
No, this is fine.
Okay, so I'll read it. Presented to George Guzman Jr., President of the Hailton Board of Education, 2019 through 2022. In appreciation for your commitment and dedication to our community and students. Thank you for sharing your insight, passion, intellect, and experience with this board. The Hailton Public School Board of Education gratefully acknowledges the outstanding standards you displayed during your 4 years of service as president of the Board of Education.
Thank you so much for an honor. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
We need a picture of you two smiling with a
Yeah,
big face.
sure.
Very good, thank you. Thank you, George.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Thank you so much. Like I said before, it's been an honor and a privilege. And the only thing, I just want everyone to know that, we're one school, we're one town, we're one community. We're not always going to agree on everything. We're not, let's always be respectful of one another. And there's nothing that we cannot get through together. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Thank you, my fellow board members. Thank you so much.
So before you continue with your report tonight.
Oh, yeah, if anyone wants to comment on my report or jump in, please.
Yeah, so I want to thank you, President Guzman, for your leadership over the past 4 years. Your contributions to Hailton Board of Education and to HPS, your guidance and support of board members, your commitment to our school and its administration, staff, and especially its students, and your genuine care and concern for our community will follow you and remain your legacy. And they've left a mark on me. You tell it like it is, but you're open to listening to what could be. You're tough, but you wear your heart on your sleeve. You're down to earth, but you often have imaginative solutions to difficult problems. You have high expectations, but you're the first one to roll up your sleeves and help to get the job done. You have set the bar high and you will leave big shoes to fill, but I'm so happy that you'll still be on the team to help us accomplish all of our goals. Thank you, President Guzman, for everything. Job well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I know what I said, you have no idea how many people will come up to me and say, what's George like? What's like? It really is amazing how many people know you and just want to learn more about you. So I'm just real proud for you, man.
Thank you.
Just want to say that, I may,
Yeah.
I don't have nothing. Really. I just want to say that, I remember when I first approached George, there was a lot of complaints about the food and the cafeteria and everything. And, you know, he's like, if you want to do something about it, you got to come up and step forward, and I did that, but I wouldn't have done it without your encouragement. Any questions that I had, you kind of guided me right there, a mentor of mine, and I've known you for a long time, but this is the closest that we ever gotten, and all for a good cause for the kids.
Sure.
And, I'm just honored and happy that I still serve with you and will continue to serve with you. And I know that with our vice president, who's right there, idealistic, and with Angelise, did a great job, but I know that we will continue to move forward.
Sure. That's right. Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. Mr. Locke.
Yeah, we have board meeting. So- That's your whole report. That's my report. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not my report. I'm sorry. We get over the tangent. All right. So now my other part of the report. On this agenda, you'll see a resolution looking to approve our extended day program. This is a great program we're able to offer to all HPS students totally free of cost via our ESSER grant. Mr. Trito runs this program and he works with our teachers and our math and our literacy coach to review our testing data to determine what specific skills we need to look to develop in each grade for the students that volunteer for this. The teachers that are working in this after-school program will then look to develop those within the lesson-based design. We will also look in future months to put together a free summer program once again, based on this concept. And I expect hopefully, and I do expect that we'll once again look to do this again next year and hopefully for as long as we can. You'll see on this resolution, you'll see on this agenda a resolution seeking to amend the way we accept students into our pre-K, and this is important. So this came as a bit of a surprise, but the state had informed us that we'll now need to allow 3-year-olds who are general education to be enrolled at the preschool for Hale the Public. This is a change in the current system because our current program, we'd only allow general education students that are 4 years old. And also, we also allow 3-year-old students should they have a special education classification as per the state law. There's no set amount of 3-year-old general education students that we must accept. So we decided to open 5 spots for this group. The reason we don't offer more is that before the pandemic, we would usually have upwards of 30 or 40 students on the preschool waitlist each year. Since the pandemic, we've seen that the amount of students applying in the pre-K lottery has gone down quite a bit. But I expect that as we get further and further away from 2020, that the number of parents that are going to want to send their children and seek to be part of this pre-K lottery will continue to rise back to the pre-pandemic levels. I do want to remind this board that hopefully by next summer, we can begin our construction project on adding that extra floor above our current pre-K area. And once that's complete, this board, should they, choose to, we could look to add 1 or 2 more pre-K classes to that section. That's an idea we could do if the board wishes to do at that time. My next item is I'm beginning the process of putting together the Board of Education meeting calendar for next year. Likely look to use the model we used this year as the blueprint for meeting dates. I'm going to run the proposal by Board President Guzman and Vice President Isa towards the end of next week, so we can all double check to see if I overlooked anything. But that will be an important item that this board will look to vote on and approve at our reorg meeting in early January. My last note, my second last note, is a reminder to all board members and BAs that Saturday night we're going to combine with the borough once again for the holiday float parade. I do enjoy this event a whole lot, and I'm hopeful that we can get a few new board members to join us like we've done in the last few years. It's going to be a little bit cold Saturday, but at least the forecast shows that it should be dry. So, Lamika, I hope you're ready. You won't need a raincoat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And lastly, I went to a school ed law summit today and down in Monroe, and a couple interesting developments that I learned of. By next September, we're going to need to create at our school a safety assessment task force, and what that's looking to do is help identify if a child's having, some kind of severe, or even employee, some severe issue that may be cause for alarm. so that we can quickly look to get them the help with the resources they need. Now, when I looked at when they explained who needs to be on the task force, just having an SRO is huge. Like it'd be very difficult to do this without having an SRO in the building, or you could do it. It should be a lot more difficult, but having an SRO is going to help us with this. But it's gonna, we're gonna need to bring in teachers from the team, guidance staff, administrators, and a couple other people, and the state's gonna look to give us kind of guidelines as to how we might look to implement or what the actual responsibilities of this task force will be. So I'll keep everybody updated on that. I also went to a really interesting presentation about the teenage brain and post-COVID and social media and how they all kind of relate. Because we're seeing across the state that, the anxiety and the impulsiveness and in some cases the anger of the teenage students has been increasing. Like the number of like the violent issues and spats and arguments has gone up, statewide. And they talked about how just with social media, we're seeing that during the pandemic, the kids for the most part, that's really all they had, right? This to communicate. So they became very, very reliant on that and things like TikTok and Reels. But it actually changed some of the pathways within their brain. And as Victor pointed out, it also changed their sleep cycles. And we're seeing that some of the effects in real time, with our students here at Halden, but everywhere. And we're seeing it in Verona, where I live, but every superintendent at the last county superintendent meeting said the same exact thing they're seeing. So I know we're putting a lot more strain and responsibility, and we're needing our guidance teams and our SEL teams and our IEP teams. We're asking a lot of them, but we're doing that because that's the needs of our kids right now. But I do appreciate all the work they've done to try and address this. I just think we're seeing a lot of the unintended consequences kind of even years later coming back. It's not just learning loss, it's socialization loss and impulse control loss. So that's something we're going to keep our eyes on. And that's my report for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. I do have a question. So I want to say maybe three years ago, we did a demographic study. But at the time, there was no construction going on in Halden. Now we have a situation where the land use board is considering certain changes to zoning and things like that. So is that something we may want to revisit? I don't know how much it cost us. I know it did cost us something for that study. Is that something we may want to reconsider to look at? Because especially as it pertains to preschool. So if we open up preschool to third grade and we have, I know we're starting with 5, let's say we go to 20, or because the numbers are going to go up. How is that going to affect, the school as far as population and everything else?
Yes, unless the town's looking to put in senior citizens housing, right? Then there's a good chance any development is going to impact us one way or another. I do see on the Zoom, we do have a member of the zoning board, and I'm sure if I called him, perhaps he could tell me what things might be in the pipeline.
Okay.
But if I do get word that we are going to see some sort of development, that I think it would be prudent. I don't think a demographer is that high priced of a service to get, depending on what you're looking to actually do. But it's something we could definitely look into if we get information that they're actually looking to build.
Thank you.
Can I ask on that too, just on the preschool thing? So on this document, it says this year, 22-23, there's in-district preschools. Yes, there's 11.
It's a great catch because that information is actually not accurate. That was it was from our ASSA report. Our real-time system accidentally populated that with our 3-year-olds that are special education, so that they should be, the number is actually 0 right now.
Okay.
That was an error in our part.
But we have age 4 students, we have 40, and we're projecting 50,
Mhm.
and we're only accounting for 5 for the preschool.
We're going to save 5 of the spots for the 3-year-olds,
Right.
and then when they become 4, then we'll obviously keep them the very next year.
Okay.
So 5 of those spots will be, and the rest is because we have to legally give anyone that's special ed that's 3-year-old
Right.
a spot, right?
Right.
So we have to, what we do typically is we reserve like the 15 spots for them. And then once we get really close to the beginning of the school year. If we've only used 2 spots, then I can open up some more spots to the kids on the wait list.
Okay.
But
But we can only accommodate 20 right now.
we can only
the
accommodate
space.
60 total kids, because the one of the
60
only
total, 3 and 4.
yes, because the only grade where we're legally capped, because kindergarten, it's a suggested max of 25 kids, but you could ask the county for a waiver. There's preschool cannot be over 15. There's no waiver to get 16, so that's always going to be a finite number.
I have 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
So one question is. With the 3-year-olds, do we have to hire, we would have to.
We wouldn't have to hire anyone new. It would be more just, because the teacher with the pre-K cert, she could teach a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old.
It
It's
could
just
be-
that, we've never had to, we always picked 4-year-olds because we've had the wait list, right? But now that teacher will have some kids that are just a year younger, which at that age is a big deal, right? But I think we'll be able to not need to staff extra.
And my other question is, what's the reason or reasons why there's been a drop in lottery applications?
I think that we saw that in this town, like there were certain towns that when schools started reopening in September after 2020, like it's September of 2021, September of 2020, there were some towns where 95% of the parents wanted to send their kids back to school full time. It held, and at the start, we were at like 52% of the Halden parents wanted to send their student back. As the year went on, and I guess people, they've seen that, like, what we were doing was working. We got to about 65% at our peak that year. But I think every community is a little bit different as far as what risk assessment they were comfortable with sending their kids. I think in this particular community, we saw that we were on the kind of the far end of the parents were wanting to keep their kids home for the reasons they had.
Thanks.
Can I ask one more question?
Mr. Abbasi.
So you mentioned creating a safety assessment task force based on something you learned, was it this morning?
The workshop this morning, yeah.
Is that informed by policy? Is there a policy that was informed?
So
in that?
Strauss Esme, and it's a great question. Strauss Esme very likely next month is going to give us a suggested policy.
Okay,
I haven't seen even a draft of it, so I don't know if there's going to be things that we have the option of adding or subtracting or choosing from. But they're going to give us a policy that says you must have a principal or a principal's executive as part of it. The other part of the policy will likely be one teacher, one guidance member, one nurse. It'll probably be just, here's the basics of how you're going to have to do it, but it'll be through policy, yes.
thank you.
Question,
Mhm.
the 3 and the 4-year-olds, will they be in the same classroom at times? or-
Commingled.
Yeah, so right now, we do that now. So the 3-year-old in special education, he or she is very likely to be in a room at some point with kids that are also 4-year-old in that class. And the kids that have special education status, they'll be the room that has the extra aid or something, or the in-class support teacher, depending on what the kids' needs are, but that's very common.
Right, one
Would you
more.
read, Diane?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, well, then one more, and then back, you mentioned the demographic
Study,
that we
yeah.
had back then, and to Commissioner Tatanovic question. With the population, you're saying with the pre-K coming down, right? That it came down, could it be because of back, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when they built the buildings on John Street? And everybody was moving in? Could that have been a big
It
impact
could have
on?
been, like, I guess you're gonna get some natural
With the construction
fluctuation,
and
but
everything,
that
with the
could very well be it.
construction, because we had, now people moving in, new buildings, getting new families, they got kids, and now most of them are what, first graders now, second graders?
I think that very well could be it, because there's certain, like, we had a graduating class that year, we did the first year of the drive-through graduation. That class was humongous. That
Right,
was
yeah.
like the biggest class, statistically, about 30 or 40 more kids than any other class. And then we have, I think it's our 4th grade class, maybe Diane, this year, that's like only maybe like 80 years. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
so statistically, another,
That
that
have
could
been.
be it. And I also think too, just, we know this town, like, it's not uncommon for grandma to be living with you in your house, or Anthony to be living with the house. So I think there's some idea that, we don't want to get the elderly people that may be living close to us sick. I've heard that from a lot of parents. So I think there's a lot of variables, but that could be it
That
too.
can be one of the two. Okay, thank you.
So I'm gonna ask if at the next board meeting, well, not the next board meeting, but at a board meeting sometime in January, I think we have 2 meetings in January, if I'm not mistaken. If maybe the finance and physical plant committee, when they meet, they can discuss the demographic study possibility, along with hopefully by that time. if
We can
Mr.
get a
Walker,
quote
if you-
too.
Yeah, let's try to get a quote, and then maybe by that time we can talk to the land use board to see what's going on there, and then we could definitely make an informed decision about preschool moving forward, because preschool is phenomenal for the parents. So anytime we can provide that, it's a great thing. But obviously, we can only sustain what we can sustain.
Correct.
Thank you. Moving on to our business administrator, Mrs. Lamika Augustine.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to note a few things that are on the agenda tonight. Resolution 13.3, we have recycling items on there, and I just wanted to just make the board aware that these are items that, project that was done by our technology department to switch out, some switches that will probably, they're part of the life cycle is, done. So we can either dispose of them or recycle them. So we're gonna try to recycle them for another use, right? And we also have 13.4, the NRG solar energy. This is an annual renewal of a contract. We have the solar panels, and we also have an agreement with NRG to give us they give us reimbursements for reducing energy, and they do leave like once a year or so. They shut the energy down and see how much energy we're saving, and we also get some reimbursements for saving energy and using the solar panels. So that's renewable every year, as the life cycle of the solar panels. Okay. 13.5 and 13.6, this is the cooperative agreement that we have. A lot of school districts are in this agreement. This is the save on gas and electricity. This company goes out to bid and find the best commodity prices for the district, and we are part of that. And our electric and gas services will go through those companies like direct service, and whichever company is the lowest, we join that cooperative. And we usually, this is done annually around this time, so the district saves on gas and electric costs.
Thank you.
And one more, the last thing is our amendment, approving our amendment for 13.12 and 13.3. This is the preschool and basic over carryover from 21-22 that was approved from the state this week. So we have to accept those funds, and this is just additional funding on top of our yearly funds that we received.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions?
Yeah,
Mr. Abasi.
so the NRG plan, right, that's usually with solar panels. The way at least I think it works, the energy goes back to the grid to PSE&G, and then they
Yes.
send it back to us.
Yes.
Does that coincide at all with the electric ACES program?
No,
Or
we
we-
still have a portion of electricity and gas. The gas, no.
The guys know,
No,
right?
Right, so but the
The
electric part, we do have we still have to pay a company. Just like I have solar at home, I still have PSE&G.
Right,
And if there is any a part where we're not saving, or if there's a portion of energy that we have to pay, PSE&G will send me a bill. So that's where the ACES come in. So whatever that difference is, ACES is going to say, well, your energy cost will be whatever amount per watt. And that's what ACES does for us. They go out in a bid, a cooperative bid for all the districts that participate, or municipalities, so that we can have a better purchasing price.
okay.
Yeah.
So our solar panels are probably not generating enough to cover all the electricity that. we
Not
need.
all of it.
So the balance, we're going through that ACES collaboration.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
I
thank
have
you.
I have a quick question. So suppose our solar panels did, would ACES reimburse us?
Not ACES. We would never get a bill from ACES. It'll always be the energy company. They're just going out and finding the contract, soliciting the contracts for
The
us.
cheapest,
yes.
I see. So ACES is just a broker. They're not the actual wholesaler and the.
No.
Thank you. Moving on to personnel and management, Mr. Webb.
We have Mr. Webb unmuted.
Yeah.
He is there, yes.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mr. Webb.
We have agenda items only. I just also want to commend President Guzman for all of his hard work. And I know I'm late to this, but congratulations to you and your wife on your recent marriage.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Curriculum and technology, Mrs. Eagle.
Agenda items only.
Policy, Mr. Abasi.
Nothing to report, but I will be looking out for that policy that comes through on the safety assessment task force.
Absolutely, Chair of the Board.
Nice. Security and safety, Mrs. Lantanovic.
I also want to likewise congratulate you on a good term. I was really impressed by your knowledge of the school. And it was a privilege serving with you and running with you.
It was a privilege.
We have no agenda items, but I do have something to report real quick. So no recent committee meetings. In case if anyone is interested, January 30th, the Bergen County School Boards Association will do a virtual meeting to discuss school security. So if anyone, you can, you don't have to be in Bergen County to attend. So last month I went over, I mentioned a couple of the bills related to school security that are in the legislature. So just a slight update. There is a statewide task force that the legislature is looking to set up. So it was in the Senate reported favorably out, and an assembly counterpart was introduced 2 days ago, and that's been referred to the Assembly's Education Committee. So it looks like that is moving on along. On December 1st, the Senate Education Committee also reported out on S2057, which would require certain documentation of needs for students with disabilities during school security drills. So it's definitely worth a look. Maybe that's something next year has to be created, if even without this bill, is not a bad idea. I also mentioned last month that there was some legislation related to anonymous reporting of school threats. No changes to that. The other piece of legislation would have required the Commissioner of Education to review safety plans. Also no update to that. So.
Thank you, Vic. And as I said, the list of our accomplishments the last 4 years, it was a complete team effort. We have a phenomenal team. And as I stated in my list, we are a Sustainable New Jersey Awards winner. But Vic, you're always a driving force behind, environmental and sustainable New Jersey. Thank you. Let's move on to, let me ask you another question, Vic, actually. The security meeting, maybe Lisa could find out as well. Does the board members, not that this matters, but just want to know from my own knowledge, would the board get any credits for attending that?
Yes, you can actually.
Okay.
I actually was also certified as a
Okay,
board member.
good job.
So I think part of the requirement is that you have to attend a certain number of county level meetings. So I know I attended at least one outside Passaic County.
Okay,
And so this would definitely count. It would count towards that individual's certification. As a board, I assume it has something, I haven't looked at it because there is a board level certification process, but I'm a little less familiar with that.
understood. Thank you.
I believe you absolutely would get credit for that.
Okay. I would believe so too. I just wasn't sure. Let's move on to community engagement, Mr. Webb.
Nothing to report.
Finance and physical plant, Mr. Moxo.
We met, we discussed a few items that DA discussed already regarding 13.3 and 13.4. Other than that, just what's on the agenda.
Thank you. State County, Mrs. Easel.
Yes, so there's an open seat on the Passaic County School Board Association for alternate delegate for the NJSBA Board of Directors. And it's an unexpired term, so it's only through May 2023, but if anyone is interested in that, they sent out an email on December 7th, and it has all the details of what that position entails. And you have to respond by December 19th if you're interested in serving in that position. And then the next Passaic County School Board Association meeting will be on Tuesday, January 24th at 7. It's going to be a completely virtual meeting. And the presentation is going to be how to be an effective board member. So that's very interesting. And that's it.
Very good. Moving on to adoptions. Do we have a motion to accept a resolution honoring Mayor Dominic Stampone?
Move.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa,
Yes.
Mr. Moxell,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes,
Mr. Zontonovic,
Yes.
and Mr. Guzman.
Yes, and if I may, I'm not gonna read the whole resolution, but I'm just gonna touch on a couple highlights, just for the record. Mayor Dominic Stampone is the longest serving mayor in Haledon history. And he is also a proud graduate of Haledon Public School class of 1985. And as a proud graduate of Haledon Public School class of 1985, after that, he went on to graduate from Manchester Regional High School. He also graduated from William Patterson University. He furthered his education at the Seton Hall University School of Law, graduating in 1998 as an attorney. He was first elected to public office in 1992 at the age of 19 to the Manchester Regional High School Board of Education. Mayor Stampone was also duly elected to the Haledon Municipal Council in 2004, having also served as council president. He currently serves as first assistant corporation counsel in the city of Patterson, the third largest city in the state of New Jersey. What I want to highlight is his partnership to the Haledon Public School District. He definitely, and I've seen the emails, the text messages to our 35th Legislative District delegation, being a tireless fighter for the full funding of our schools, which has significantly increased the last several years. In turn, that has enabled us to expand preschool education, aftercare programs, and other extracurricular activities. He was also a vital proponent of installing a full-time school resource officer at Haledon Public School. So we thank him for his service, and we wish him luck on his future endeavors. And whether this is not about where you sit politically, this is about what's right. And what's right is that he's a graduate of Haledon Public School in 1985, and he's gone on to have a very impressive career. And we're proud of him, and we wish him luck in his future endeavors. Thank you so much. Moving on, the agenda, personnel and management.
I'd like to move 8.1 through 8.7.
So move. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Abasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa,
Yes.
Mr. Moxell,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes. Yes,
Mr. Zontonovic,
Yes.
and Mr. Guzman.
Yes. Curriculum and technology.
Move agenda items 9.1 through 9.4.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Mr. Abasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa,
Yes.
Mr. Moxell,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
yes,
Mr. Zontonovic,
Yes.
and Mr. Guzman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Finance and physical plant.
We move item 13.1 through 13.14.
Second.
And roll call.
Mr. Abasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa,
Yes, but I'm going to abstain on 13.7.
okay, Mr. Moxell,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Zentanovich,
Yes.
and Mr. Guzman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any new or old business? As has, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, and then we have some PTA members, on the call. You guys have been so good to us, especially this month with the dance on Friday night for the kids, and then we have another one coming up. We had the library turned into a holiday fair, so kids could buy, inexpensive, gifts for their friends and family. The kids really get a kick out of that, but I think Miss Fiorentino is doing a really, really, really good job filling in the footsteps of Liesel, and that's not easy. But thanks for helping us out so much of late.
Awesome. Anything else? As has been well established, being my last meeting as board president, I want to thank my lovely wife for being here tonight and yeah, and bringing me my wedding ring that I forgot to understand. But without her, without my family, I can't do what I do and serve our community. So I thank you very much for being my rock. I love you.
I love you too.
Do we have a motion to open up the public portion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa,
Yes.
Mr. Moxon,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Zentanovich,
Yes.
and Mr. Guzman.
Yes.
We had one comment
In the chat.
in the chat. The comment was the redevelopment plan is from Mr. Jim Isa. The redevelopment plan has not been defined as of yet, but it would be great to know how many more students the school could handle. And use this as a basis to make a decision on how many units can be added. So I guess the short answer is that the most we've ever had here, since I've been here at least, is 1,065 is the highest I've seen it get to. Right now, we're sitting at about 1,004 ballpark. I think that's the last number I most recently saw. To put it in context, in 1990, this building had about 580 students. So when we were at the one time we were at their peak with that 1,060, we felt it. We still feel it now. Losing that 50 kids it's maybe some tangible feeling of but the amount of teachers that are still on carts is still more than we're comfortable with. But hopefully that answers your question somewhat, Mr. Eason.
And any information we can report back to the land use board to help them move forward with their redevelopment plan will be great. So we'll be fully cooperative with that, I'm sure, the board. Anyone else? The board, the floor is open to anyone who wishes to address the Board of Education. Ms. Cartano.
It's very hard because now I need a Chromebook here so I can. That Diane Cartana, president of the HEI, I just wanted to very briefly say thank you, Captain Guzman, for being our partner, and we look forward to continuing to work with you when you move the chair around the corner of the table.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you to the HEA as well. You've been phenomenal.
What seat do you want?
We have to do it in compliance with our board policy on seat arrangements. Right?
You think I would know? I have no idea.
This is super glued on.
I'd like to see, huh?
Permanent.
Do we have a motion to close the public portion?
So move. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa,
Yes.
Mr. Moxon,
Yes.
Mr. Webb. Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Are you here?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, yes.
Mrs. Zentanovich
Yes.
and Mr. Guzman.
Yes. I know I stated in my report, but I just please thank the folks in the office, Madam BA, they're phenomenal. Mrs. Jobless, everyone up there, they're great, and I really thank them for all their hard work that they do behind the scenes. Thank you. no executive session. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Abasi.
Yes, and since I'm the only one who wasn't congratulating anybody yesterday. Congratulations to George and to Liesel and Vic on certification.
Thank you.
Mrs. Issa,
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mrs. Antonovic,
Yes.
and Mr. President.
Yes. Good night, everyone.